a couple cities in New Jersey. The people were going to fight the Seminole Wars, so they was leaving the cities, going southeast. That's why the largest concentration of us was in the South at the turn of the century.
So because the structures were already so when you look at these structures, though, that says when they put out these old movies about the Wild Wild West and the people going west in the wagon trains and stuff, there were massive buildings and marble and crystal looking places and stuff that existed.
We still have castles all over the land that's thousands of years old. Most of them they turned into major prisons.
Really?
Yeah. Look up Marquette Prison in upstate Michigan in the UP. That used to be a castle. They turned it into a prison.
Wow.
I think San Quentin, there's a couple of them in Pennsylvania that they turned. Rod Hayes, my task at hand is to inform the grassroots that the government is changing over, and on the turnaround, when everything is done, guess who's going to be in power this time? So that's right. So the problem is that the governments of Earth supposed to be matriarchies because Earth is a feminine planet. So when they tried the patriarchy, it created the deserts. Now my aim is to bring attention to the rise and return of the matriarchy. And people have this twisted idea of what matriarchy is. They think it's just take all of the power for men and replace them with powerful women. That's the dumbest shit in the world to me. But what matriarchy really is about is children, because the mothers know the children are the future, and they teach this to the wise children that pay attention. Right? So when we grow up, we have a different world view if our mother was teaching us in the ways of women than what we see presently, and this society makes us greatly uncomfortable. If we don't study and develop a strong mental outlook on what we seeing, we normally bug the fuck out, go Harry Carey, riding around in the streets blasting motherfuckers because we don't know what else to do. Right? So now I'm telling them, look, don't fall for the fear campaigns. All of the fear that the church, the synagogue, and the mosque has been instilling in people for the last 6,000 years was the chains of hell. Mm-hmm. Take the fear away and the chains become feathers. Right? Mm-hmm. So when we looking at the personal development of individuals, they have to see somebody that see the problem, explain the problem in order for them to see it a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So my job is to describe the problem and offer a solution where a solution is available. I haven't found a problem yet that wasn't solvable. Right? And it's like one of the elders got a little clip rolling around on Instagram, and he said it better than anybody. When all else fails, go back to nature, because nature answers all of man's problems. Mm-hmm. They was answering problems before Silicon Valley, before Wall Street, before Washington, D.C., and long before the Vatican. Mother Nature was answering the problems of everybody on the planet in every place at all times. Right? So now it's the fact that our awareness determines how fast this thing is moving. Apparently, our awareness is reaching critical mass because they finally decided to tell y'all that Queen Elizabeth is dead.
I was cracking up. Dead.
Yeah. So, but a lot of people don't know that they gave a coded sign when she passed. Mm-hmm. When the crest on the gate of Buckingham Palace fell. And facing the gate, it would be on our left side, but it would be stage right of us. That represents the right brain. Mm. The crest on the right side represents the seal on the mother line was broken. In other words, they was telling us that there was Elizabeth masquerading as the queen, keeping the queen deposed, right? So now we have to go in history to find something to compare it to. So we compare it to what we call the ousting of one royal in order to replace them with another. We've seen a lot of it go on in Greece and Rome. But a lot of people don't know we still under Roman rule. And the Romans were called Etruscans before they established Rome. And the Etruscans today are called Moors. And the Moors that was Etruscan came over as conquistadors. And we call them dirty Moors. The reason we call them dirty Moors to distinguish them from what we call a righteous Moor. The righteous Moor was the bays with the feathers who was fighting the Kandja War against the Els and the Fezes. And the righteous Moor job was to be properly educated in Moorish history in order to know the difference between us, the organic people from the land over here, and those who came. We know a couple of things for sure. One is we didn't have prisons before they came. When they came, they set up pre-OW camps and called them plantations. Right? And then in the aftermath, because they got to write the history in a way that'll make us accept it as victors, even though we lost. But the war was still going on. It went from a bloody war in what we call the Civil War and the Gullah Wars. The Gullah Wars, mainstream Westerners call it the Seminole Wars. Our people, well, you can tell who's telling the story by what they call the war in the land of flowers. If they call them Seminole Wars, they the invaders. If they call them Geechee Wars or Gullah Wars or Gullah Geechee Wars, they us, talking about what happened to us. But because we don't know the history correctly, because they intentionally, with malice and forethought, as they say in law, taught us history wrong so that our perception of history and what happened to us would be clouded in a mystery. We was the Masonic secret, right? And they wanted us to remain in perpetual ignorance as to who we were in our station on the land. Well, Big Mama told me to get her shit back, and Mama told me don't let nobody take my brothers and sisters' shit. And so when they tell me they stole our land and I look out my window and it's still here, I want to know where they put it. So if the land's still here, even if they stole it, it's in a position for us to reclaim it. Right? So this is what we've been working on. Everybody got to do their part according to their level of understanding. The higher your understanding evolve, the more you are relied on to inform the clans, the collective clans is what we call it, across the land of the threat and what we need to do as a people in order to face and overcome the threat. Big Mama always leave us a way out. No matter what kind of fuck up we get in, no matter who come here, she got one of her boys that's going to come through and fix that shit. I'm number 7.
So let me ask you a question, Rod. So you said the Gullah Wars and all that was like an in-home like type of fight?
No.
No.
We was fighting invaders.
Okay.
The invaders don't call them Gullah Wars. The invaders call them Seminole Wars.
Okay.
We call them Gullah Wars, Gullah Geechee Wars, and Geechee Wars. They are the same thing. Because that was the main battleground.
Florida. So the Dirty Moors are the one that brought the let me word this right. The genome, well, what we would consider Columbus and all that stuff is,
Columbus was a Tawny Moor. He was a mulatto.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And his boss was Pedro del Negro, the navigator on the ship. He was a blackamoor. That nigga was black. Make me and you look light-skinned.
What?
Yeah. That's the whole trick. Because they have the same hair texture and skin tones as us, that they can come and mix in with us and we won't know us from them.
So
This was a challenge under George Washington in a ceasefire agreement called the Paris Accord, and we know it as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The Paris Accord was signed in Paris, France. The significance of that is the memorial that's left in France, in Paris, right? It's called the Eiffel Tower. It's a homonym. I fail. Right? And so if it's the Eiffel Tower and it's commemorating somebody's fall, whose land is it on? What's Paris' whole name is Parthénon Le Isis, which means city of Isis. So now you know that this was the fall of the matriarchy that they commemorate. But we got to have a tale coming from France to lay the book wide open. Do you know what that would be?
No, enlighten me.
Well, she got a book wide open. She carry a light in one hand.
Okay, so the Statue of Liberty. Because they first sent, what was the first statue? It was of the melanated woman, correct? Look like a dude.
It's always been a man because it represents the Pope.
But they want us to believe that's a woman?
If you stupid enough to fall for it. She got a whole man face.
Man, you hear me?
Okay, now, the Pope, and this is how you know. Notice she's sitting there with the book wide open. What book is she holding? Don't nobody know what book the bitch holding.
I don't.
It's the fucking Bible. Why is she holding the Bible wide open? Right? This is the reason why. The Bible is not a spiritual text. It's a contract, a riddle, and it is a code for those who reach a certain attainment to follow a star map in order to unlock the secrets of who we are. So the Pope, who's masquerading in the Black Madonna seat as the Queen of Heaven and Earth. But he can't sit on the real queen seat. It's suspended 30 feet over his seat. Because if a man sit in his seat, they forfeit. The man, nobody with testicles supposed to sit in the seat. So they suspended it in the air so the janitor mopping the goddamn floor don't get tired. So, I'm going to have a seat right here. Right? So if he get up there, he got to get a ladder, a 30-foot ladder. Right? That's what we used to call the House of Cil, where all of the oracle priestesses of the earth fell up under what we call the 12 daughters of Isis. And they went to different regions of the world once they was trained to be the matriarch that helps everybody else with their development spiritually. All that shit got hijacked by Yahweh and them. Yahweh is Zeus.
Yeah, I know.
That's Enlil and Sumer. Alexander's father. Right?
But that's who a lot of people worship, like Yahweh, the Hebrew Israelites and some isn't it Muslims too?
Well, even Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah is
and Jehovah's Witnesses.
Jehovah is the English rendition of Yahweh.
And they don't have no idea.
Most of 99.9% of them don't, and the ones that do ain't telling it.
So let me ask you a question. So I saw in the media, I don't believe everything I see. But I saw in the media where the so-called Native Americans, the $5 Indians, had met up with the Pope, or they were given a celebration for the Pope. What was that about?
There was a lady that put the Pope on notice in the public domain. Because we couldn't get close enough to put him on notice, we had to send the ones that they tried to, that they made the contracts with. They didn't make contracts with us. We didn't sign treaties and contracts. Because those contracts that they was offering went against the moral code of the land.
Right.
So they created $5 Indians so they could have somebody to sign these treaties that we didn't sign and we refused to sign.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they set up the reservations for them and left us in Arkansas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana instead of funneling us back to our land. Like they say, the Pueblo natives just poofed off the earth. They just poof, they gone. No. Look, when we go to war, the whole family go. We drop the babies off at Big Mama house. Right? And Big Mama got the aunties and sit there to take care of the kids while we go fight the wars, and we leave men at Big Mama house. Well, they hijacked Big Mama house, took her name out and called it the Big House. And labeled our family plots as plantations. Now we don't even want to go home.
So my question is, so who helped them do this though?
The Black Amores.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so
okay, when you look in the Washington Memorial in DC, you got a whole bunch of fezzes in there. They the ones challenged us to the Conjure War. Them the L's. And they all are under a death oath. That's why there's a sword on every one of those fezzes to not tell us who we was and to replace us.
So they sold us out.
No, they not us.
Oh.
They want to replace us. They ain't never been us. They just look like us.
Ooh, there's some tea here.
The genetic stock of the natives to this land are more closely tied to Polynesians and East Asians than it is to Africans. But that don't mean we don't got African blood, because in the Atlantic, we had been doing trade with Africa for thousands of years on the east side of the land, from North to South America. And then we was doing trade with China, Japan, and the other islands for thousands of years. And they have these ships. They got ancient ships from China that used to sail over here. They actually have. Dating back a couple thousand years. They also have ships from Africans like Mansa Musa who sailed over here. They also got the Pharaoh used to sail over here for vacation. And they got his ship, but we don't got no slave ships. None of them slave ships they told us exist. We can't find none of them.
So when they told us that, because a lot of people be like, oh, the Africans, you know, people still really say this. They say that the Africans sold their own people.
That's because from our view, look at it from our view, not being from Africa, from being from over here. And the motherfuckers look like the motherfuckers they bringing. That's why they saying that. Look at Tipper Tip and you'll understand why they say Africans and sellers. But Tipper Tip doesn't self-identify as being an African. He self-identify as being an Arab. Now the term Arab means wanderer, right? And Elijah Muhammad said everywhere they go, they call mischief and bloodshed. They have no place that they native to because they not native to anywhere on the planet. So they travel the world causing mischief and bloodshed everywhere they go. They go among peaceful people and start conflicts and then offer a solution to the conflict that they started for a fee.
I'm just sitting here like in awe.
Yeah, so, them niggas look like us, but they ain't us. They heart don't feel like our hearts feel. We operate from a place of love, compassion, and generosity. They operate from a place of hate, misery, and deception.
So my question is, how did they get there to where they look like us, but they're not us? Like, are they mixed up or?
They came here dark-skinned. right? They from Nibiru.
Okay.
So Nibiru have all skin tones of people.
Mm.
Now, the respect that they got for each other is closer akin to the respect